from mid-2007 to mid-2009. That 2-year period was super bad. And we'd made so many mistakes in the beginning of Tesla that we basically had to recapitalize the company almost completely in 2007. Because, I mean, almost every decision we'd made was wrong.
Hey, I'm Steven and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So in this video, we're winding the clock back to 2015 when Elon Musk spoke to billionaire investor Ron Barron, who owns a large chunk of Tesla in his fund, and talked about their future plans for battery technology. Fancy that. Battery day just happens, and now we're talking about what Elon had to say about batteries 5 years ago. There's something in this. We'll also discuss what Elon Musk thought about Tesla's potential volume in the future, and also why analysts completely missed what happened with Tesla between 2015 and 2020. We're all left scratching their heads, chasing price targets and wondering, what did we miss? It's all here. We just need to pay attention. So let's get into the video. But first, hey guys, if you're in the US and you'd like to help out the channel and get a free stock, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account and fund it with $100, you'll get a free stock valued up to $1,600. And if you're in Australia, the UK or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also using the link in the description. Let's get back to it.
But I mean, going back a little further, I actually didn't really expect to be involved in creating companies when I was like in high school or middle school. I actually was going to pursue sort of physics and a career in physics and try to sort of understand more about the nature of the universe.
Shout out to all my physics nerds. Actually, bit of a side story. I was obsessed. My role model as a child growing up, especially as a teenager, was Richard Feynman. Many of you will know him. Plenty others are like, who the f*** is that guy? Love the dude. In fact, I used to post on an investment forum in Australia called Summersoft under the username Richard Feynman. What is manufacturing at its absolute essence? I will answer that for you. No time for you guys to figure this out. It is rearranging atoms the way you would like them to be arranged, as efficiently as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can. That is manufacturing at its core. This is why Tesla is so far ahead of everybody in terms of their engineering, because they have physics thinking, okay? Elon understands the universe from the atoms up. Most of the engineers working at Tesla will also understand this. This is just fundamental understanding of the way things are. For some people, nerdy people, this is fascinating. Others, they could not care less. But the people that really care, that are interested in how do things work at a fundamental level, are the kind of people that will absolutely blow your mind with their engineering genius when it's applied to manufacturing. And this is what we're seeing the early stages of now at Tesla. They're only just getting started. If we wind the clock forward 10 years or so, we'll see how fundamentally important, how critical this physics-based thinking is to achieving scaled, efficient, lean, fast-paced manufacturing. This is what Tesla's going for. This is why Elon Musk says Tesla's long-term advantage isn't going to be battery tech, isn't going to be software, it's going to be manufacturing. This physics thinking is not present in any other large-scale manufacturing companies that I personally know of. That's why they're not getting the results. I challenge you to find another automotive CEO with a degree in physics.
Then things like the superconducting super collider got cancelled, and I thought, well, like, what if I'm stuck in some situation like that, and then there's like some active government basically stops things, and then it would all be a waste.
Man, this interview is an absolute treasure trove, just of gems of insight into Elon's thinking. Now, let's just ponder this statement for a moment. Elon decided not to pursue a career in physics, something that he was super passionate about and interested in, because he was concerned that he wouldn't be in control of his own destiny, right? A government could cut funding, something could happen that could stop him doing his groundbreaking work. Where does he end up? In the corporate world, where the market decides if you're successful or not. Not a government, not a budget, the market. I hope that as we go through this interview further, we start to build up a little bit of a picture of what was extremely obvious about Tesla and their future back in 2015, something that so much of Wall Street and so many retail investors completely missed, but things that I was already excited about. I've been fanboying over Elon Musk now for well over a decade, watched every interview, read every piece of media, everything he said, period. All of it. And I began to get a picture in my mind of who this guy was and how he was thinking, and how important the way that he was thinking actually was to achieving their goals. And then I'm realizing that there aren't other CEOs out there thinking the same way. They're not taking the same actions, and they're in big trouble. By the time it rolled around to 2016, I began investing in Tesla just a few months after this interview aired. It's not a coincidence.
And then I go to visit your plant, and I've been there, go every 3 or 4 months now. And I guess not very many people who are analysts on Wall Street, even though 22 guys publish about Tesla, I think very few have actually been there, and hardly anyone's spoken to you.
Fancy that. Is it any wonder that the vast majority of Wall Street completely misunderstood Tesla, had no idea what was going on? In fact, even recently, still in the mainstream finance media on the likes of CNBC, etc., there's so many panelists, anchors and guests sharing their opinion about this company, haven't visited the factory, haven't spoken to Elon Musk, haven't even been in a fucking Tesla, yet they still share their uninformed, embarrassingly wrong opinion. But Stephen, it's got 4 wheels. It must be a car, you moron. I don't need to go look at the factory. They make cars. They're a car maker. They make cars. They've got wheels. I don't need to go in their car. It's got 4 wheels. It's a car, you idiots.
But we think about Volkswagen, 10 million, Toyota, 10 million, General Motors, 8 or 9 million. Profit margins a fraction of what we think we can do. Why can't we be bigger than them?
Well, I mean, I guess...
I mean, that's pretty...
Possibly. It's not out of the question. I think over time, if we build great products and we keep our cost structure competitive, then I think, who knows what the ultimate...
So we're going to need a lot of these plants?
Yes.
Wow, what a difference 5 years makes. When this interview was recorded, Tesla had just produced their 100,000th vehicle in total. Now it's well past 1 million, and they're building out enough production capacity at this point in time that in a couple of years, Tesla will be producing millions of vehicles per year. They're getting close to this mark already. Only half a decade later. This is very impressive, and again, the signs were there.
How do we know when we're making such an investment that what we're building in that factory is going to persist? And why is it that in 100 years, so we do all sorts of things, you're sending things out of the atmosphere, out of the galaxy, out of the universe, planes, and yet for 100 years we haven't been able to build a battery that goes for more than 300 miles. So how can that be? How is it possible that we haven't been able to spend money on that? And if that's the case, because no one's paid attention to it, and all of a sudden we come along and pay attention, we're going to try to reduce the weight in the existing batteries and use maybe silicon and having a 300-mile battery going to 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we worry that what we're building isn't going to get obsolete also?
Well, the reason is that at this point, I think we have quite a good understanding of all the battery technologies in the world. Like there could be some small laboratory that's being super secret, but generally what people inventing battery technologies try to do is they approach Tesla first and foremost because we're the biggest lithium-ion consumer in the world. So
anyone who wants to build a battery has new ideas, they're going to come to us before they go anywhere else.
We'd be their biggest customer. So if somebody invents something, the obvious choice to license it to is Tesla.
This is a critically important point again. This was back in 2015. All we need to do is take a step back and let this one sink in. We can infer, he's right. If you've got a breakthrough in battery technology, who are you going to approach to commercialize it? The world's biggest consumer of the battery technology that you have a breakthrough in? Or somebody that doesn't even need any of these batteries because they've got nothing to put them in and no plans to scale up in the long term either? Pretty obvious. Is it any wonder Tesla required Maxwell Technologies, high bar system, Grohmann Engineering, etc. to scale up and ramp battery production of their own battery cells 5 years later and announce all these details at Battery Investor Days? No.
And we try to take things, seriously as possible. But I mean, we track right now about 60 different efforts around the world to develop improved batteries, and some of them hold some long-term promise. But we rate all of them from a 1 to 5, where 5 is we should be doing business with them, and 1 is complete BS.
How many 5s are there?
There's no 5s. There's some 3s. Currently, there's no one even in the 4. Like there's some that might go from a 3 to a 4. 4 means we should be in like preliminary discussions.
This is a powerfully important clue, and it was here in 2015 for all to understand. How many other automotive manufacturers, again using the term loosely, do you believe in 2015 were manually tracking all of the battery development efforts around the world that they thought were worth watching and ranking them in terms of possibilities to acquire, to have preliminary discussions, etc.? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the fact that Elon off the top of his head was easily able to state there's no 4s and there's no 5s at this point in time. Should it get to a 4, that's a point where we'll be in preliminary discussions. It was all here. It's pretty unlikely that a company would be actively looking and searching for breakthrough battery technology if they didn't have plans to actually implement that at large enough scale for it to make sense to pursue that technology. It was all here. Tesla aiming from day one for millions of EVs per year.
So what's going to change in the technology that's going to enable us to have this different? Are we going to have something in 10 years that's going to be an unusual battery that's going to be able to do 1,000 miles and going to weigh less than it does presently?
I don't think we'll have quite that much of an improvement. And actually, I think most likely we would not, like technically right now, for us to do, say, a 500-mile range car, we could absolutely do that right now with current batteries. But the cost would be too high, and the useful load impact on the vehicle would be too high. So we'd have to fill up part of the trunk and the front trunk and the rear trunk with batteries. We'd have to impinge a little bit on passenger room. But for us to do a 500-mile range car right now would be no problem. A 500-mile range car in the current form factor, I think that's, probably less than 10 years away, within the same volume and roughly the same mass.
People give Elon Musk a lot of flack for missing timelines, being a little bit late, etc. Punctuality isn't his strongest suit, rah, rah, rah. But hey, he called this one. He said that within 10 years he expected to be able to have a 500-mile range vehicle with a similar battery-packed footprint in terms of the same amount of batteries, just going further. Well, guess what? Next year, both the Cybertruck and the Plaid Model S enter production, and they both have 500-plus mile ranges. He's there. The technology's there again. This is the physics thinking, okay? He wasn't just pulling out a number out of his ass. In fact, Ron Barron talked about a 1,000-mile battery in 10 years, and Elon immediately shot that down and said, we're not going to be there. But 500 miles within 10 years, definitely there. The physics thinking, he knows where this is going. He has a fundamental understanding of the technology, what needs to be done, and how to get there. Pretty accurate prediction. Well done, Elon. I guess the point here is that when Elon is asked about numbers, progress, what things will look like for Tesla in the future, etc., he's not making this shit up. He's talking from a place of reason and understanding, literally from the atoms up. This guy understands everything that's going on at this company and all of the important key technologies that are involved. So when Elon Musk makes statements that sound a little bit crazy or out there or doesn't quite add up, take a step back and ask yourself, wait a minute. He's the guy that understands physics. He's the guy that's running the company. He's the guy that's seeing all the technology and all the breakthroughs. He's the guy that's got the roadmap to get from here to there. Should I really be questioning his statements, or should I be learning a little bit more about why he thinks what he thinks?
And the way we're going to drive the cost of the kilowatt hours from 250 to 100, that's because we're doing what? That's just because we're doing scale, because we're using different materials, because we're changing chemistry. How do we do that?
Yeah, so we're making quite substantial improvements in the total pack energy density. So there's the cell energy density, and then as you put those cells together in a pack, and you have to figure out how to do that safely, we're able to reduce the pack energy density. So we'll make, I think, quite significant improvements in the pack energy density. But the thing that's most important, really, is the cost.
And what do you know? 5 years after this interview, Elon Musk at Battery Invest today unveils a plan where Tesla has figured out a way to reduce their battery costs by 56% per kilowatt hour. Surprise, surprise. So I hope you guys have found this video insightful. Lots of clues about Elon's psychology, his mindset and thinking around Tesla, their future, and what was most important, which was of course driving down the cost per kilowatt hour of their batteries. And some really interesting insight even from Ron Barron there regarding the analysts on Wall Street who hadn't gone to Tesla's factory, been in their products, even spoken to Elon, very negative on the stock. How'd that work out, guys? I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake using the links below. Deposit $100 in your WeBull account, you'll get a free stock valued up to $1,600, and Stake, spin the roulette wheel, you'll either get Nike, GoPro or Dropbox. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.